The B-League teams face their toughest challenge yet as we hit aiming the 6th event of the B-League. You can see the standings here. The Terra Titans currently have a single-point lead over the Snow Skaters. It's between those two, and really opposite tales from last season, but today they're close together. We're seeing the individuals who will be running here. It's a reverse championship order as per usual, but because we're getting so late in the season, relegation is going to start mattering more and more, and no team is under bigger threat than Rhapsody Blue immediately gets one through. They fired their coach after last event. They have a brand new coach. That is Composer, who's going to already evidently train them at least a little bit, because they're going to get through round one. Now we move on to the Wizard Lizards, another team in the relegation zone, and they will immediately send one through. Pretty impressive by them. They will not have any worries here. Of course, we saw in the main league, no one got eliminated round one, so it's hard to say if the same thing will happen here or not. Of course, these teams generally not considered quite as skilled, but we'll have to see. Now the Wave Breakers immediately send one through, and it's going to be yet another one completely safe. So far, nobody under any threat, really, whatsoever. And if I'm not mistaken, everyone has been 2 for 2 so far. And, of course, we have a lot of blue teams at the bottom of the standings. It's been rough for them, even in the main league with the Soaring Skies, but the Purple Plains immediately send way off to their left. Now their second has to do it, and they will. I believe that was Combust there, who did a decent job, just barely managing to get through after their teammate Pyrolysis went way off to the left side. But now the Gigawatts sending two of their OG members compared to their two new blue ones, and Watt, the captain, not able to get it done here. Of course, Volt will still pick up the pieces and manage to get them through, but not a great sign for their captain, considering this is something of almost a team event. Now the Pink Pallets, let's see what they can do. They've been struggling. Their first two events this season were great, but they've been slipping farther and farther down the order, and they will at least get a perfect score in this first round, but we haven't seen anybody go out yet, so that's not really a guarantee of points yet. But now we move on to the Avocados, as we're moving through this event pretty quickly compared to the main league version. And their first marble immediately goes through. The Avocados should be safe, and their second will as well. Now we're moving on almost to the top half of the standings. These last couple teams, the Pink Pallets and Avocados, were in similar positions last season, just barely below average. And now the Orange Fizz, another team that's been very similar in both B leagues, and their first marble will go through, and their second will as well. At this point, it's not seeming very surprising. I'm starting to wonder if we will see anyone go out this first round, but of course we're only halfway done. There's still plenty of time. Now we get to the top half of the standings with the Azure Diamonds. Now we're getting to the teams that are not necessarily safe from relegation, but just need to be able to coast for these last two events, and they will do so here. Coasting pretty much perfectly describes what they're doing there, immediately going right through the middle. And the Azure Diamonds are one of the few blue teams that isn't struggling quite so much recently. Now the Jelly Jammers currently in the top half of the standings, and they're immediately going to send Jelly through. That was their former captain, and Jelly with an I, their current captain, will just barely make it through on the right side. But now they've seen the walls of this thing can be a bit challenging, but now we move on to the Positrons, who have been a bit quiet ever since their victory in Tower Descent, and they will send two down here, though. That was perfect for them, and they're going to do a decent job here. The Positrons, we're not really used to seeing them doing quite so well, but evidently they picked up the pieces after last season. Now the Gugos, another team that's picked up the pieces, and they will immediately send one through. They're not looking like they're going to do poorly here. Ooh, their second, though, just hits off the right side wall. We've seen a lot of teams do that. But of course, they will still get two just barely. And now we move on to the Balls of Water. We're getting to the teams higher and higher in the standings. Of course, the Balls of Water still way off of the top two in terms of points, but they're not impossibly far away, and they will get a perfect score here. So far, still no one going out in this first round. It's starting to look just like in the main league version. Now the Chili Peppers, let's see what they can do as we're getting to these last couple rounds. The Chili Peppers immediately send one through, and they should be good to go on to the next round, and their second will as well. Now we're getting down to the last couple of runs with the top two, who are very close to the top of the standings, the Snow Skaters and Terra Titans, an unlikely pairing, but of course now we move on to the Snow Skaters. Our first marble immediately goes through, and they will be good to go to the next round. I think that was the reserve Swim, and Skim will also make it through. The Snow Skaters being much more consistent this season all around. If I'm not mistaken, they haven't had any bottom half finishes so far this season, so very impressive by them. Now the Terra Titans immediately send one through, and they will be good. That means everybody is getting through this first round completely clean. Of course, there were a couple teams that only sent one marble through, but that's not really that relevant. As long as you get somebody through, that's the important thing. So we don't have anything to show on the results screen, but the gap is going to get smaller and smaller as now we move on to round two. Rhapsody and Blue at it once again, trying not to get another last place finish after they've already had 4 this season, but they will send 2 through here. So evidently it's not quite that much of a concern at this point if somebody goes out at round 2. Now the Wizard Lizards, let's see what they can do. Another team in the relegation zone. They need some points, and their first marble will go through. Just barely. I believe that was the reserve Okamoto, who did a good job there. And their second marble also going off to the left side. We've seen a lot of marbles going to the right. This time they've opted for the left, maybe just overcorrecting there. But now we move on to the Wave Breakers. Oh, their first marble way off to the right side. I believe that was the reserve. Oh, no, that was Ariel, I believe, actually. But their second marble, their captain, will be able to get it done, so the Wavebreakers still moving on. Now, the Purple Flames, one of their biggest rivals, currently just barely in the relegation zone. Their first marble goes through, and so far, still nobody going out. At least the relegated teams, or at least the provisionally relegated teams, are looking strong so far this event. Now, the Gigawatts don't want to get relegated in back-to-back seasons. Let's see what they can do here. Volt, is off to the left side just barely. Now, their captain will go through, and the Gigawatts were in a bit of trouble there, but they will still manage to go through just barely. But now we're seeing that the second round isn't quite as treacherous as it may have seemed either. And in the main league, this was when we started seeing teams go out. But the Pink Palace now in trouble here. Their captain, Hugh, will be able to get it done. Their first marble, not quite able to do the same thing. But as long as their captain gets through, that's the important thing. The reserve, not quite able to do the same thing. I think that was sketch. But now we move on to the Avocados. As once again, we're nearing the halfway point of this round. And their first marble will go through. And now their second will as well. That was pretty much perfectly centered from the Avocados. Really making a statement with that one. But now we're moving on to almost to the halfway point, as the Orange Fizz, one of their fruit rivals, of course more soda rivals, but their first marble goes through, and that will be the end of it already. But their captain, I believe, not able to get it done there. That was a very disappointing performance for Bubble. Luckily, their teammate Tang will be able to get through, but not a great sign for them. Now the Azure Diamonds, as we once again move on to the top of the standings, still no one out. Already several runs into this round, and the Azure Diamonds will do just as well. Really, this has been an amazing performance from everybody so far. I'm not sure if this is just easier for these teams or what, but the Jelly Jammers will send one through as well. And their second marble, just the same thing for them. They will move on just barely going through that gap, but both of their members going off to the left side. Once again, we're starting to see the left side become the more favorable option. Now the Positrons, let's see what they can do here. Their first marble goes through, and that'll be the end of it. Their second, not going to pan out quite as well for them, but as long as they get one, that's the important thing. Of course, the tiebreakers are going to matter more and more, especially with all these teams surviving more rounds. The tiebreakers could become a key factor if a lot of them go out in a later round. Now the Gugos immediately send one through, and they're not going to have any troubles there, especially for a team currently only a few points behind the teams ahead of them. 5th place in the standings, wants to be able to win this B-League after they've been slipping the last couple events. Now the Balls of Water, let's see what they can do here, and immediately send one through, and the Balls of Water are through as well. We've seen so many teams be really consistent so far, and we're already most of the way through this round, and still no one is out yet. Will we see anyone go out here? Now the Chili Peppers, let's see what they can do here. They're currently 3rd in the standings, and they will send one through, and the Chili Peppers are on. At this point, failing in this round would mean pretty much an immediate last place finish or close to it. And in the main league, we had already seen at least a couple go out by now. Now the Snow Skaters, let's see what they can do here. Their first marble, not able to get it done. Now their second has to do it, and they will do so. Their first actually looked like almost rolled back into the zone, which technically would count, but of course they will still get skimmed through, which is the important thing. Now the final run of the round, the Terror Titans, it will be a disaster go out here, but they will not be doing that. Their first marble goes through, and Mud, the captain, will go through as well. Of course, Mud has to prepare for the next event, Marblo Cross, which they will be participating in as well, but now we see, once again, no results to show on screen, but the gap is getting thinner and thinner. These teams are really putting their A-game into this. Perhaps after seeing the strategies used in the main league, they were able to perform better. But Rhapsody Blue will miss their first, though. Now their second has to do it. But they will get through. I think that was Brass who did an excellent job there. And Rhapsody Blue is through to the next round. At this point, it's looking like they might be able to score a decent finish, or at least not last place for the first time in a while. Now the Wizard Lizards immediately send their reserve through, and they will be through as well. The B-League teams are really bringing their A-game here. As I mentioned, they have so far still no one out, and we're already a couple runs deep into the 3rd round. Now the Wavebreakers, the 3rd blue team in a row, and they will immediately send one through. The Wavebreakers are through as well, and still these B-League teams are just not letting up. Despite the setup being the same, everything being the same, the B-League teams are evidently really pros at this, and now the Purple Flames, a lot of pressure starting to mount as we're getting later into this round, but they will still put one through, and the Purple Flames are on to the next round as well. All of the relegated teams, perhaps they have extra motivation by the fact that they need to get themselves unrelegated and get into the top 12 of the standings. And speaking of the top 12, we move on to the Gigawatts now, trying to hold on, but they will send Volt through, and their captain just barely threads the needle between Volt and the left side wall. A bit of a tricky run there, but it will still go through. Now the Pink Palettes, another team that's been on the low recently, but they will still send one through, and that means that they will be going on to the next round. Their captain way off to the right side, though. That's not a good sign. Saying hi to the Malamex, I suppose, rolling all the way over there near the podium, but at this point the team's perhaps just having a little bit of fun with it. Now the Avocados, as we're getting closer and closer to the halfway point, still no one out yet, and their first marble bounces off the left side, but their second will go through. and that means that they'll have another perfect score here. The Avocados have been very consistent so far. Let's see if they're able to continue that throughout the next few rounds. Now the Orange Fizz, their rivals. Let's see what they do here. Ooh, their first marble off to the left side. Now their second, their captain, will go through. And that means the Orange Fizz are through as well. That means we're already, 40 rounds into this, and still no one is out yet. Now the Azure Diamonds, let's see how they perform here. Their first marble off to the left side. Now their second has to perform here, and they will do so. And the Azure Diamonds are through as well. Of course, now at this point, any failure, any mistakes could really be costly, as now I move on to the Jelly Jammers. Let's see what they do here, and their former captain immediately goes through, and that means they will be going through. Their captain does it as well. The two Jellies, or spelled different, will still be moving on with a perfect record here. Now we move on to the Positrons. We're getting later and later and higher in the standings. Their first marble is not able to get it done. Now their second, the pressure is on, and they will still go through. The Positrons are through as well. It's starting to look like none of these teams are going to budge, and the gap is only going to get thinner and thinner. It's only going to get harder and harder. And now the Gugos, let's see what they do here. Their first marble's off the left side. Now their second has to perform here, and they will still do so. The Gugos looked like they're in a bit of trouble. We've seen several teams with only one go through in this round, but still nobody is out yet. Now the Balls of Water, if they were to go out, it would be devastating for their hopes at a B-League title, but their first is way off to the right side. Now their second has to go through, and they will just barely on the left, near the left wall, but still making it through. That's the important thing. The Balls of Water will be going on to the next round. Now the Chili Peppers, currently top 3 in the standings, and their first marble goes through. It's off to the left side. Now their second, just barely. They make contact with the left wall, but they will still make it in, and still nobody is out yet. The Chili Peppers playing a dangerous game with that one, but they will still go through. Now the Snow Skaters, top 2 in the standings. Their first marble off to the left side. Now their second. Will they go through? No, they will not. And the first team out, the Snow Skaters, they're not looking good. This will pretty much guarantees this is their first bottom half finish of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Now the Terror Titans have a big opportunity. The Snow Skaters are their biggest rivals right now, and they will send one through. That means the Snow Skaters are guaranteed to get dead last to this event, and a position they're unfortunately familiar with from last season, and that means that their title hopes are going to be much more of a struggle with only 2 more events remaining and the point leaders still in. Of course, that means it's a 10-point gap down to the Chili Peppers in third, so it's going to be difficult for the others to catch up. Now Rhapsody in Blue back at it again. They've guaranteed not last. But their first marble goes way off to the left. Their second will just go through, though. That was Brass once again, who's been a very consistent marble so far this event, but they will still go through. Now the Wizard Lizards, the gap is getting so thin at this point, it's got to be a lot of pressure, and their first marble is not going to be able to make it through. Their second will not either. The Wizard Lizards are going to go down here. Of course, it's hard to say how many will go out this round. That might not even result in that bad of a finish, depending on how many, but of course, that's still not great. Now the Wave Breakers, another team currently in the relegation zone, was in the main league last season, doesn't want to get relegated here, and they're proving that. They will get both of their marbles through, their captain and Ariel. And we've seen several teams be really consistent throughout. Now that the gap is only 4 studs wide, you'd think it'd get more and more difficult. The Purple Flames are showing that here. Their first marble is not going to be able to get through. Their second will make contact with the wall, but they will still get through. I think that was Combust once again, getting it done for the team. And the Purple Flames will still get one through, which is the important thing. Now the Gigawatts, as we move on outside the relegation zone. Their first marble will make it through, and their captain, just barely off to the left side. We've seen a lot go barely off to the left side, and they will settle right there. The Gigawatts opting not to send either of their new members in this event. Perhaps wanted to save them for other events. Now the Pink Pallets. Let's see what their reserve can do. Way off to the right side. Now their captain has to get something done here, and they will go through. The Pink Pallets are on to the next round as well. Still nobody out except for the Snow Skaters and the Wizard Lizards. Now let's move on to the Avocados, as we're pretty much at the halfway point of this round. Their first marble, not able to get it done. Their second, what can they do here? Just barely making contact with the right side wall, but they will still get through. I think that was Freesha who made it through, but the Avocados still moving on. Now the Orange Fizz with their captain and Tang. Let's see what they do here. Their first marble way off to the right side. Now their captain has to perform, and they will do so. And the Orange Fizz are on as well. The B-League teams have been really bringing their all here. Still, barely anyone going out. Now the Azure Diamonds. Let's see what they do here with the pressure mounting so much. Their first is off to the right side. Now their second has to perform here, and they will do so. The Azure Diamonds look like they had a bit of a scare there, as they did in the previous round, but they will still move on, and that's the important thing. Now let's move on to the Jelly Jammers. Another team higher up in the standings wants to move up into the podium zone, and they will send one through immediately. Their second, though, their captain, not able to get it done. But that's a bit unsurprising with such a thin gap, as we're only 1 round away from the final normal round before it starts moving. Now we move on to the Positrons, run 11 of 15. We're getting later and later into this round, and their first marble's not able to get it done. Their second will, though. And that means the Positrons are through. They're Another team that's higher up in the standings trying to contend for a B-League podium, maybe even a B-League championship, as now we move on to the Gugos, another team that used to be higher in the standings with their back-to-back medals at the start, and they immediately send one through. Their second will go through as well. The Gugos are on to the next round as well with a perfect score here, and still only 2 teams are out. Now let's move on to the Balls of Water, currently just barely outside the podium zone, right, trying to get up into it, and their first marble goes through. Their second not quite able to do the same thing. I believe that was their reserve Drain, not quite doing as well, but Moisture will still go through, and that's the important thing. Now we move on to the Chili Peppers, the penultimate round of this round, but their first marble goes through, and their second doesn't really matter, but they will still go through as well. The Chili Peppers moving on to the next round, slightly besting their rivals, the Balls of Water. Well, not their direct rivals, but rivals in the standings. Now the Terra Titans, the final run of this round, their first marble goes through, and that means they are in. And that means these last couple rounds, we've only seen one team go out apiece. We still have 14 teams left. We're already hitting into round 5, if I'm not mistaken, and that's ludicrously impressive at this point. But the Wizard Blizzards will get 15th here. Not great for a team currently very low in the standings in the relegation zone, and they're the reigning B-League champions. Now we move on to Rhapsody in Blue once again, who now guaranteed at least a decent performance. Well, not really decent, but they will still send one through. That's the important thing, but only getting one now that the gap is the smallest it will get. The pressure is on more than it ever has been. Now let's see what the Wavebreakers can do. Their first marble just barely off to the left side. Now their captain has to get in. Ooh, and they will, as I mentioned in the main league, billiards ball their teammate into the zone. That was a creative strategy. We saw that used quite a lot in the main league, and their captain Nose Ride with some creative performance to get them through. Now the Purple Flames off to the left side. Let's see what Combust can do. It's not going to happen, and Combust has been so consistent throughout, but they're just not going to be able to get it done. The Purple Flames will be going down here, which is not a good sign for a team currently low in the standings. Now let's move on to the Gigawatts, just barely outside the relegation zone, but trying to get higher and higher above it, and their captain Watt will not be able to do it, but Volt will be able to go through. And they will not be going out here. So far, even in this final normal round, we still have so many teams being so consistent. Now the Pink Pallets, let's see what their reserve can do. Not able to get it done. Now their captain Hugh, will they go through? Not able to. No, they will not. Their captain just barely off to the left side. It's perhaps just overcorrecting a tiny bit, and that means the Pink Pallets are done. Now the Avocados, another team that's currently not quite in the relegation zone. They will send one through. I didn't even get the chance to finish my spiel about them, but they're not quite in the relegation zone, but I think they'll be at least trying not to fall into it with a decent performance here, as now we've already seen a couple teams go out this round. Now the Orange Fizz, let's see what they do here. Their first marble off to the left side, their captain way off to the right side, rolling away toward the podium once again, and that means the Orange Fizz are done. That means we've already seen quite a few go out. If I'm not mistaken, more have already gone out this round than in the other rounds combined. Now the Azure Diamonds, their first marble, not able to get it done. Their second now has to perform, and they will go through. That was actually very impressive. So they had a lot of speed going way deep into the zone, but that means the Azure Diamonds are through to the next round with their one marble. Now the Jelly Jammers with their 2 jellies. Let's see, their first marble, just makes contact with the wall, but they will still go through. Their captain, though, way off to the right side, and a lot of marbles have been going off to visit the podium, perhaps say hi to the coach, but the Jelly Jammers will still be going through with their one marble. Now the Positrons, we move on to round 10 of 14 in this round. Their first marble off to the right side, and their second not able to get it done. Those two were pretty rapid fire out of the funnel, but neither one of them is able to get through. The Positrons are done. Now the Gugos, we're getting higher and higher in the standings. Going out here is more and more consequential, but their first marble will go through. That means the Gugos are still in this title fight. Their second, off the left side though. The Gugos, after getting relegated last season, still trying to fight for a B-League championship, and right now they're doing a decent job. And of course, there's still so many teams that are doing a decent job. Now the Balls of Water off to the right side with their first marble. Their second will go through. Just pretty precise from their second marble. They're doing a great job, and that means the Balls of Water are on to the next round. We still have so many teams left in this, and every mistake can count. Now the Chili Peppers, their first marble way off to the right side. Their second has to perform here, and it's not going to happen. Off the left side, overcorrected there, and that was one of the most inaccurate rolls we've ever seen from either team member. Not even close for either one, and the Chili Peppers are going down here. Now the Terra Titans, let's see what they can do here. Currently the point leaders, and they will send one through. The Terra Titans trying to expand their lead even more, and they get their second one through. That's their Captain Mud doing a great job there. The Terra Titans are doing an excellent job here, and that means they're through to the next round. The Chili Peppers will get best of those teams that got out, though. But now we only have 9 teams left. I imagine that number is only going to get smaller and smaller. Meanwhile, you can see the goal has moved to the left side, and the main league moved to the right, but this time it's going to the left. Perhaps just to mix things up. And now the Rhapsody Blue will send one through. In the main league, we only saw one team make it through when it was moved to the side, and the Rhapsody Blue will send both of their members through. I think that second one will count just because they were only blocked by their teammate. But now the Wave Breakers have the pressures on for them. Their first marble toward the center. That would have been perfect in the previous round. And now their second. Ooh, their captain's so close. They almost roll in, but it's just not going to happen. The Wave Breakers are done. That means Rhapsody and Blue are guaranteed a pretty solid performance at this point. And now we move on to the Gigawatts. Let's see what they can do here. Their first marble. Let's see who will be first. It goes through Volt. Ooh, and their teammate, their Captain Watt, will launch them into the zone. And that was some impressive teamwork. We've seen impressive teamwork from them before, but they will send one through. And now we move on to the Avocados. You've already seen a couple teams still make it through this time. It's going to go to an extra round, even compared to the main league. The Avocados, ooh, it looked like their first marble free show was doing an excellent job, but Mole will be way out to the right side. One of the most inaccurate launches we've ever seen. And the Avocados will be going down here. Now the Azure Diamonds. Let's see what they do here. Their first marble off to the right side. Their second, ooh, it's a bit closer. It's just not going to happen. The Azure Diamonds are going down here, which is not a great sign for their hopes of getting up into the podium zone. Now we move on to the Jelly Jammers with their 2 jellies, as we're already getting most of the way through this round. And their first marble goes through. It won't be their captain, though. Their captain not able to get it done here, just barely off to the right side. But so far, Jelly with a Y has been one of their most consistent members this event. And now we move on to the Gugos. We're already getting most of the way through this round. Another formerly relegated team. Their first marble, not able to get it done. Now their second marble has to do it here, but it's not going to happen. The Gugos are another team going down. That's another one of the big championship contenders at the moment going down here. The Terror Titans are definitely loving watching this. Now the Balls of Water are one of the only teams left that can still threaten them. And their first marble not able to make it. Their second doesn't either. The Balls of Water are going down as well. At this point, the Terror Titans, currently leading the points, can definitely expand their lead quite a bit with all of the other main contenders out. Now the Terror Titans can expand it even more with a goal here, and they will do so. Their first marble goes through, their captain not quite able to say the same, but the Terror Titans sending one through, that is huge for them, and it's going to be difficult for anyone to catch up, especially after this event. Now I believe we only have 4 teams left, and the Terror Titans and Rhapsody and Blue have the advantage on tiebreakers because they got 2 through in the last round. Now we move on with the goal on the right with only 4 teams left. Rhapsody and Blue, only 7 points this season with a brand new coach. Their first marble, not able to get it done. Their second, almost gets it done. Brass is so close, but it's just not going to happen. And Rhapsody and Blue will be going down here. Of course, if everyone goes down in this round, then Rhapsody and Blue will still win the gold, so it's not over for them yet. Now, the Gigawatts way off on the left side. Their captain not able to get it done either. The Gigawatts will not be taking the gold medal here. It is done for them. Now that means we only have 2 teams left that can challenge Rhapsody and Blue. Let's see what the Jelly Jammers can do here. Their first marble comes down. It's toward the center. It's not going to be able to get it done. Now Jelly with an eye. Ooh, they'll try to knock their opponent in, and they just can't get it done. That was so close for them, but it's just not going to happen, and that means the Jelly Jammers are going down here. Now we only have 1 more team left. The Terror Titans currently in the point lead. If they make it through here, they will score the gold, and their first marble is close. Their second, not able to get it done. But that means Rhapsody and Blue, a miracle run here, currently only have 7 points, and they, with their new coach, evidently they've been putting in the work, because they will take the gold medal here. Getting that 2 in round 6 was crucial for them. The Terror Titans, though, currently point leaders, getting a silver medal. That is huge for them, and the Jelly Jammers already high in the standings, take the bronze. Captain Composer has to be absolutely elated to be standing on the top, to have their team standing on the top step of the podium in their very first event as coach. And we look at the standings now. The Terror Titans hold a huge point lead now, 21 points over the Snow Skaters. Balls of Water jump up to 3rd. Meanwhile, Purple Flames, Rhapsody Blue, and Wizard Lizards in the relegation zone. They're highlighted in orange, which means they cannot win the B League. Of course, there's still 2 events for them to at least escape relegation as we move on to the next event, which will be Marblo Cross. Of course, before that, we head back to the main league for jousting. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.